Hello and welcome to Cooking Corner with George CrimiVaroli.
Cut! That's not how you do an intro. You need more passion. I'll show you how you do an intro. Take this, get out of the shot. Hello and welcome to the season 4 premiere of Cooking Corner with Giuseppe CrimiVaroli. And welcome to the season premiere of Cooking Corner with Giuseppe CrimiVaroli. This season, we're going to kick things off with the second most requested dish in all of Cooking Corner, lasagna. So in terms of ingredients, you're going to need the following. You're going to need lasagna noodles, of course. You're going to need mozzarella, a lot of it. You're going to need ricotta. You're going to need tomato sauce. You're going to need some kind of meat. Normally, you can use ground beef and sausage, but to cut costs, you can just use the meatloaf mix. There's something missing. What is the Parmesan? Desperate times call for desperate measures. Emergency Parmesan. All right, folks, let's get to it. Alright, now in terms of hardware, you're going to need the following. You're going to need a pot in which to cook your noodles. You're going to need a pan in which to brown your meat. You're going to need a strainer to strain your noodles and to drain the grease from your meat. You're going to need a bowl to drain the grease into. You're going to need tin foil to cover your lasagna. You're going to need tongs to handle all those hot noodles. You're going to need a can opener, to open your can. You're going to need a ladle to ladle your sauce and a spoon to dollop your ricotta. And you're going to need a half tin in which to assemble your lasagna. Alright folks, as always, step number 1 is going to be, that's right, wash your hands. Go ahead, turn your water on, stick your mitts underneath, get them nice and moist, get your soap. No soap! That's alright folks, no soap. In a pinch, you can use milk. Luckily, I always keep some in my sink just in case. Go ahead, get your hands nice and lactosey, rub them together, stick it under the sink, and wash your hands off. If you're lactose intolerant, oat milk will do just fine. Once you're content that you've got all the milk off your hands, go ahead, have a swig, and let's get to cooking. Step number 2 is going to be make your pasta. I made pasta in the first video, and by God, I'm going to make pasta in the last video. By now, you should probably know how to make pasta for yourself. But if you don't, here's a quick run through. Put up water to boil, add a little bit of salt, put the pasta in, strain the pasta. That is all of step number 2, make your pasta. Alright, moving right along, we're going to get into step number 3. And step number 3 is going to be cook your meat. That entails browning your meat and straining your meat. Alright? We've got 1.5 pounds of the meatloaf mix right here. As I said earlier, we're using the meatloaf because it's a mix of a bunch of different kinds of meat. Otherwise, I would just use ground beef and sausage. Go ahead, drop that in there. Peel off the skin. Turn the burner on. And you can start breaking up and browning your meat. Now is the time while your meat's browning to season it however you want. I'm going to just sprinkle some black pepper on the top. It's a pretty salty dish based on how much cheese is in it, so I don't think you need salt, but if you want it, or if you're salt deficient, go ahead. Just a little bit here and a little bit there to season the meat. And you're all good. Alright, while I'm browning the meat and I've got your attention, I want to let you, the viewer, know that I am here listening to what you have to say. Several people have come forward and asked that I suggest side dishes for my meals. I'm hearing you and responding. Lasagna is a hearty pasta dish, so you could couple it with a light side salad and some garlic bread to make it a complete meal. Alright, so the meat's almost done. Now would be the ideal time to preheat your oven. So go ahead and preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Alright, to round off step number 3, we are going to strain our meat. Now, it's a bad thing to do to pour grease down your drain, so what I'm going to do is strain the grease out into this bowl with this strainer. So go ahead, pour your meat over the top, get the grease out as much as you can. Maybe press the meat a little bit to get extra grease off of it. Now what I'm going to do is pour this grease into a can, let it harden, and then throw the can out, because that's my best way to dispose of grease. Alright, heading on to step number 4, it's going to be assemble your lasagna. Now following in the footsteps of the great Henry Ford, we're going to do an assembly line. Here's how it's going to go, walking down the line. It's going to start with a sauce layer. Then we're going to layer pasta, and then meat, and then in no particular order, each of our 3 cheeses. Alright? Your base layer is going to be sauce. Make sure to cover the entire bottom of the pan. Once you've covered the bottom of the pan, layer in some pasta. Start by going lengthwise on the tray. The second layer will go the opposite direction, thus forming a crosshatch. It's hot. Whew! All right, painful. Moving on down, getting some meat. Heading on down, get some ricotta. Now this is the Italian way to spread ricotta. You get your hand in that ricotta like so, and then you use your thumb to press the ricotta off your hand so it gets evenly spread. Very messy. This whole line works better with multiple people, but it can be done solo as well. Go ahead with your clean hand, grab some mozzarella. Then you just repeat. Sauce, pasta, meat, cheese. Sauce, pasta, meat, cheese. And you keep going like that until your whole thing is assembled. Now for the second layer, we're going to drizzle sauce over the whole thing. Not too much sauce, not too little. You really got to feel it in here. Now here's what I was talking about. Here's your standard length lasagna noodle. It fits quite nicely lengthwise in the pan. But for the second layer, or every other layer, you're going to turn it and rip off the last third of the noodle. By doing that, you'll make this noodle the width of the pan. And you keep going for the rest of the noodles. And then you can use your thirds to construct the last noodle in the layer. Just like that. Continue with your assembly line. Alright folks, for the top layer of your lasagna, you want to make sure to finish with the noodles, meat, sauce, and then mozzarella. And that's how you should top your lasagna. Now, you're going to cover it with tin foil and stick it in the oven for 40 to 45 minutes. Your lasagna is all covered, so now it's time to bake it. Your oven is at 350 degrees. Let's open this bad boy up and stick the lasagna in. That's going to bake for 30 minutes covered, and then you'll uncover it and bake it for another 10 to 15 minutes. Alright, it's been a half hour. Now it's time to uncover our lasagna and cook it for another 15 minutes. fighting for my life out here, jeez. Now we're gonna cook it for another 15 minutes. Alright people, it's time to take out our lasagna. Go ahead, open the oven, turn it off. Grab your lasagna, do your best not to burn yourself like I did. And now you're ready to plate. Alright everybody, now we're on to the final step, which is going to be plating. So, if you have a sharp spatula, just stab it on down into the lasagna a la Psycho. But, if you don't, feel free to use a knife. Just cut yourself a little corner piece here. Grab a spatula. Scoop up a piece of lasagna. Drop it into your plate. Bada bing, bada boom. You're plated. Anyway. Alright, that concludes the season premiere of Season 4 of Cooking Corner with Giuseppe CrimiVaroli. I appreciate your continued viewership. If you like the channel, subscribe. If you like the video, comment. I emphasize this a lot. If there is something you want to see on the channel, leave it in the comments. I would love to know. If it's something I don't know how to cook, I'll learn how to make it and cook it for you. It's that simple. And, bye-bye now. Ooh, soap, you can just use milk, so go ahead. All right, ready?
Do you want to come up with like a funny reason or just use milk?
Use milk just in case? No, I think it's good.
Okay.
If you're lactose intolerant, oat milk will work.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, action.